Welcome to the Voices That Propel Us, stories of justice, action, and community, a space where justice meets action and community voices rise. Each episode, we bring you stories from the front lines, changemakers, disruptors, and everyday heroes who are building a more just, equitable, and liberated world. This is more than a podcast. It's a call to listen, learn, and move together. You were just listening to music from the incredibly talented Stephen Kong. You can find him on Spotify and Bandcamp. Today we have with us Bobbi Barrington. Bobbi is a speaker, storyteller, and transformational coach who rebuilt her entire life in her 60s. After 26 years in the wrong marriage, 40 years in the wrong career, and 59 years in the wrong body, she made a radical decision that changed everything. She chose truth, authenticity, and herself, and she has been rewriting her destiny ever since. Bobbi brings a rare perspective to the microphone. She has lived as a man and she has lived as a woman. She has moved through fear, reinvention, loss, and rebirth. Her story is not intended to be about gender. Rather, it is about humanity, courage, emotional intelligence, and the power we all have to change our lives, create a new destiny at any age. She opens minds, she unlocks potential, and helps people tell a better story about who they are and be excited about who they can become. Okay, well, hi, Bobbi. I'm really excited and really grateful that you're here today. I just think you have a powerful story to share. And I think, hopefully people can take away a lot of it and learn from your experiences. How are you doing today?
Oh, fabulous. Thanks, Denise. Yeah, I'm in Queensland, Australia, and I'm on the beautiful Sunshine Coast, and it's summer here.
Okay.
And I can see the river just out the window here, and the beach is just near me here. And
Wow.
and I've created this, because it wasn't always this way for me. But rebuilding my life in a beautiful part of the world, and it's such a delight to meet with you and have a little chat. For me this morning.
No, this is really wonderful for me too. And actually, I'm in Southern California. It's supposed to be winter, but it's been 80 degrees for the past couple of days.
Ooh.
So I'm like, oh, when's the cooler coming in? But yeah, I'd love to hear more about you and your story. So for listeners meeting you for the first time, how do you introduce yourself today?
Well, my name is Bobbi Barrington is my name. And well, let me start with some of the I am statements. I am a woman, and I am a trans woman, and I am 66 now, and people think that I'm 47 until they see my behavior when they think I'm actually, 15, because I'm
I love that.
because even though my body might be 66, and I still think it's a typo on my birth certificate, but even so, I think my attitude is younger than ever, and my happiness and my zest for living and life and my aliveness is younger than ever.
Yeah.
And I am just not interested in being put in a box of, act your age, and, like people your age don't wear stuff like that. And I'm just not interested. I want to just be authentically me and live the best life I can possibly live. And that isn't going to get handed to me. And that's something I have to work for. And I am more than willing to do that work, like to go to the edges of my comfort zones and beyond, and grow. And it's so exciting. I'm just loving my life right now.
No, I love that. I really love that. And you exude so much joy, so much happiness. I can feel your energy coming in just through the screen. But I know that you've shared that you've rebuilt your entire life in your 60s. So what moment or realization made it impossible for you to keep living the old story?
Oh, yeah. Two old stories, actually. There's the gender story, like not feeling comfortable in my body, and not You know how lots of women look in the mirror and, well, don't look in the mirror because they don't like what they see, because there's all this body shame and stuff,
Right.
you know, and it's so sad. It's so sad that that is the case. But you know, my hairdresser said, you know, so many of the women sit in the chair and they can't really look at themselves, and that was me to a large extent. I just didn't. I just wasn't comfortable in my skin for most of my life, and there was body shaming that happened through my life, and you know that the irony is that the things that I got shamed about regarding my body are things that have become assets for me now. You know, like I have a really feminine body. You know, I have hips and a jawline, and you know, like, and it's just bizarre. Like kind of my body was telling me for all my life that, hey, hon, this is not you. Yeah, but the other, okay, so just go back to your question. When did that start to change? Late 40s sort of thing. You know, I was not 2 years old or 5 or 12 or something like that. It was like a growing realization from my late 40s and into my 50s, and until one day I was thinking, I should have been born a girl. And then that was a growing realization. And then in due course, you know, I was taking steps and reached out, and, you know, that was a pathway that I just kept following because that was what felt right, and just kept investing in who I was supposed to be. And now the woman that I am, I'm a dream come true, you know, and I inhabit women's circles, you know, and I spend all my time in the company of women, in women's containers, and I wear my bikini down the beach, and I've got my hair's down my shoulders, and I go to nightclubs and I rock a little black dress, and I'm a chick, and people are really into me. And like, who knew that this was possible? I didn't know. It's just like extraordinary.
No, I love that.
Yeah, but the other side to me was the mental side.
Okay.
And I spent most of my life unhappy and frightened. And this is going right back to my early childhood, when I learned to keep my head down and not be seen and not stand out, to keep myself safe, and ended up people pleasing like my father. You know, I spent 40 years in the wrong career. I trained as an accountant. I'm the world's worst accountant. You know, I'm good with numbers and I'm good with figures and stuff like that, but I have no interest in maintenance, like kinds of work where you have to keep doing it day in, day out. I just bored with that kind of stuff. And so now here I am. I'm 6 foot tall with purple hair, and I stand in front of people and I speak. I speak and I inspire and I motivate people and I change lives just through language, stories, weaving a narrative and shifting a belief system. And that's what I'm here for, you know, to elevate all of us to higher levels of expression. So that process, it was like, so now I stand on the shoulders of the man that I was, who never gave up, but always wanted more, even in the hardest times, always wanted more and kept striving and struggling. And I owe so much, because that took me to some critical points of decision where I changed course, and I started doing personal development, and I started reaching out for help and coaching, and in the end, it's all changed so quickly. In just 4 years, I've had a personal coach for 4 years, and it's been astronomically fabulous in like going from struggling and failing and feeling lost and lonely and frightened just 4 years ago to who I am today, who is so empowered and strong and capable and happy, Denise.
No,
Happy.
I love that a lot. Actually, I wanted to follow up with you about that. So just even in your introduction, it seems like you're just the kind of person who loves to live life and just like joy, and just, surrounding yourself with things that do make you happy, even like your environment. Do you feel like you've always been that way since you were younger, or do you feel like that's something that you've had to like grow into? Because I know that you were saying that you were doing like accountant work and it wasn't something that really, like sparked joy for you. So yeah, what was it for you to like actually go from like that, like, just traditional way of life to like living your life with purpose and yeah, joy?
Difficult
Okay.
because I had, pardon me, I had 60 years of 60 years of habits of thought, neurological pathways, belief systems.
Right.
And I'm still building my trust in myself.
Okay.
Fright has been such a big word for me, frightened about the future, frightened about, like I would catastrophize, like I'd make up futures, like spreadsheets. I could plan my future, and I could plan the day I was going to run out of money. Money mindset. Oh, mine has been awful.
Right.
And I'm working on it now. It's like the life I lead now is because I've created it internally within me by building trust, by keeping on, being uncomfortable, doing things that are uncomfortable, focusing on my own emotional regulation, learning how to process emotions in my body, being willing to address every little trigger, every little moment when I would fall down and get hurt, and be curious about why, about learning about me, building my own nervous system through somatic practices, embodiment practices, actually shining lights deliberately on the things that scare me, that hurt me, that trigger me, and being curious about why. What am I getting from that? What is the payoff that I get? What is the cost to me of, so even today, I have emails come in and I get frightened because there's stuff in my life that I'm out of integrity with. And I get an email and it triggers an emotion. So I have an emotion in my body.
Okay.
And that is such a beautiful thing because it's my body telling me, Bobbi, there is something, out of line here. And it gives me an opportunity to correct it and change course rather than run away from it.
Yeah.
So I have got so attuned to my body and what sensations I feel and what they're telling me. And they are access points for growth, and that's just a part of this 4-year journey of things like, those big ratchet things, and they've got a cog, and every time it clicks, it goes clunk, clunk, clunk. I feel like my learning is a whole bunch of clunks. Like in between there is all this work, but then all of a sudden clunk. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And learning where I have choices. Yeah. So I love the story about the two wolves, like the two wolves are fighting. And, like Native American traditional story about, like there's this brave and the I don't know how it goes, the chief says to the brave, there are two wolves fighting in you, like which one wins? And he says, I don't know. And he says, the one that you feed.
Yeah.
And that for me is such a beautiful metaphor for choice. Like, who do I choose to be? I wake up today. Do I choose to be in the victim state, in the blame state, in the procrastination state, or do I choose to tell a different story around, you know, like my childhood? Like, my dad was alcoholic, so I could say, oh my God, Denise, you know, it's because my dad was an alcoholic, and that's the way I am today, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Or I can choose to say, this was the truth of it. He was, but I choose not to let that, you know, like weigh on me, and to tell a different story about how he was doing the best with what he had. And there is a lesson for me in that. And, you know, so these are the two walls, you know, which one am I going to choose?
Right.
And I want to know what is possible for me, not the victim-y, you know, like addicted to the struggle because, you know, everyone else is addicted to the struggle, and that's what society tells us, that life is hard and that you can't get ahead, and it's the government or the economy or the president, something, you know, like you know, so you can give all your power away to that stuff, or you cannot. You can say, actually, I get to choose every moment, every day, how I show up, what expression I put on my face, what comes out of my mouth, what I think, what meaning I give to things, you know? And we are more powerful than we know, more capable than we can ever give ourselves credit, and our capacity to expand is limitless. Yeah. So they are my two transitions.
Thank you. That's really beautiful. You know, so inspirational too. And you know, I know you talked about some of your lives that you've lived already, but I know that you've shared that you've lived many other lives, you know, more than that. So you've been like firefighter, army, casino, you know, traveler, now a speaker and a coach. So how do you feel that these chapters prepare you for who you are now?
Oh, so much, so
I'd love to hear
much, you
about
know,
it.
like, yeah, like, you know, like when I was around 20, I went motor racing. I bought a rally car, and I got a friend, and we went motor racing, you know.
That's
and
wonderful.
and at the time it's like, oh my God, this is so expensive, you know, like, because I rolled my car 3 times and I blew up my engines 3 times, and put so much money into this thing. And at the time you think, oh, I should be like saving for the future, you know, I shouldn't be. But God, Denise, life is short. Life is short, you know, experiences are precious. Living every moment is precious, and letting the future unfold without fear, you know. So all of these things I did, like, they were not the career paths, you know. When I you know, like, living in fear, it sucks. It really sucks, you know, like, because I'm 20 or I'm 30, or, you know, it's too late to, you know, change course, and I need to keep doing this thing because society tells me I need to, or my parents told me, or I've got a mortgage and I've got a family and I've got responsibilities, and I have to keep following this path, and it sucks the life out of you. And I really want to impress upon people to live your joy, you know.
I love that.
Choose joy, you know, and then things work out. Things work, you know, like the universe sends us all kinds of new stuff, you know, new choices, new excitements and things, you know. I think we need to live in our aliveness and our joy, and it comes from within us, you know. Not so right now I've just had a divorce thingy, and I've lost such a lot of money, and it's gone
sorry to hear that.
mostly gone to the lawyers, you know. we won't go into that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that though. That is hard to go through, and I'm sorry, and I hope that you go through this, and it goes okay
yeah.
for you.
But I also get to choose.
Right.
Is that like, am I the victim of the system, and I've lost $500,000 sort of thing, through the process, or is it a $500,000 life lesson that
Okay,
I
right.
turn into a tiny little road bump on the journey that is me?
Okay.
Like, how much energy am I going to put into that? And I'm guarantee that my ex is in victim state and blaming state, and it's all my fault state. Like, I have no choice over that. I have no control there, but I get to choose for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful.
But those things that you mentioned, I've done a lot of stuff through my life, and every bit of it gives me richness.
I love that.
A richness of experience and stories and metaphors, and so as a speaker, as a storyteller, I have a rich repertoire of
I love that.
I can pick from.
Yeah,
And
it's beautiful.
And I can like pull something from the past, and like I'm 66, so many people my age are like retiring and thinking, oh, life's over, what's the point, whatever. And I'm thinking, it's the best time,
Yeah.
It's I've got my health, thankfully. I'm focusing on my whole person now, my nutrition, my exercise, my relationships, and my business. And I can, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's the best time. I'm
That's so beautiful. No, you're such a beautiful person. Thank you for sharing this too. And this next part that I want to talk to you about, I think this is really important and people need to hear this because I think people have a tendency to put like labels and stereotypes and judgments. But you often say that your story isn't just about gender, but it's about humanity. So what do you mean by this?
So I am Bobbi, and I am many things. I'm educated, I'm tall, I'm smart, I know, and I'm travelled, and I'm a French speaker, and I'm got purple hair, and whatever, like there are so many things about me.
Right.
And there is one thing, I'm also trans, and it just happened to be my journey. And this journey of authenticity, because I am so authentic now. The person I was through my life, I felt I was an introvert, frightened. Those words that I said. I was frightened. I was unhappy. These are I am statements. I am these things. And I have learned that they were conditioned statements, because I did the Myers-Briggs test, to, introversion, extroversion thing. Turns out I'm 91% extrovert. Who knew?
Okay.
Because
Did that surprise you though? Because actually it's funny because I'm quiet but I took the Myers-Briggs too, and it turned out that I'm extroverted. It's just I love people's energy, and people always say that it's so funny. They'd say like Denise is the extroverted one, but people wouldn't assume because I'm pretty quiet. Did that surprise you too when you saw that, or was it like, yeah, this fits me?
I was delighted actually, because it fitted me. It fitted how I showed up, and so this me, I was so suppressed, I was, even into my 40s, stupid things. I got frightened by attracting attention to me. Like when you put your hand up in a group setting or something, or in London, in the tube trains, and they would have there were these vents that you had to open or close, and you'd stand up. And I didn't want to do it because people would see me, and And like, it's just bizarre. And man, that was not me. That was not me. And this trans journey, this journey for every one of us to our authentic selves is so important, because who does it serve when there is any group in society, like people who are carrying more weight maybe don't want to stand up and don't want to wear certain clothes, or like there are so many subgroups in our society of people who feel shamed by something about them.
Right.
And it's a conditioned shame. It's not that I'm assuming here, maybe it is the truth sometimes, but I'm assuming it's not the truth of who they are meant to be. So my trans journey, the trans is irrelevant. It's a human journey. Like it just happens to be my journey to find my truth. I have friends, ladies, who have had weight loss surgery. Yeah, so they've had their stomachs stapled and that sort of thing. And they've had, that surgery, and then, like for the loose skin and so forth, and then they have medication and so forth in order to step into their own truth, their own authentic, the vision of who they are supposed to be. And I can't see that that's any different to what I do. We are all on the same paths, trying to create the identities that fit us the best. So I look at you here, and you've created this identity, and you've got those beautiful banners on the background there, and they're gorgeous, but they are statements. You put them there because they reflect something about you. Like everything. So I am just a woman who happens to have been on a particular journey, who people seem to have some kind of exception to because their views of the world say that is wrong, So which of these others is wrong as well, But that one's right, but that one's wrong,
No, I'm actually just curious about that too. So having lived both as a man and woman, did you learn anything about power, permission, and safety in the world? So as a man, did you feel like you were experiencing like more privilege than you were now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In what ways?
Yes. So I was a straight, white, cisgendered, educated, privileged man who was tall and entitled. Also, if you'd asked me, I would have thought, I'm just me. I'm just doing the best I can with what I have, and I have no particular privilege. But those people in our world have all sorts of hidden privileges and advantages. It's embedded. If you watch films and media and who are the authority figures and who gets taken seriously before other people, and so that kind of. The curious thing is, though, that I still feel I carry a lot of that with me.
Oh, you do?
Because it's attitude. I still have an attitude of people open doors for me. People, I walk up to a nightclb and I wear my little black dress and I expect to be let in. I have an expectation, and I think but the interesting thing about that is it's an attitude. If that's true, it's an attitude and not a gender thing. And that's really interesting for women. About our expectations of the world that surrounds us. It's so interesting, this.
No, that is really interesting. But do you ever notice where, like, even though you have that mentality, you feel that oppression, like people not treating you the same as when you were like a white male, living your life like that?
I've heard stories, about trans women, like one minute they're a qualified engineer they transition. Next minute, they're not taking it all seriously, you know. And there is a lot of research around this, and I've read about this, but it's not my experience because I work alone. I don't work in an organization. I you know, my world is almost all women, and I just don't feel that. But there are some examples. There are some interesting examples. Like I went into a shop recently, and I had to get, it was for a bodyboard, you know, for the beach sort of thing, and it needed some adjustment made to a fitting on it, and they said, "Is there someone at home who can, you know, cut this for you? You know, who can do this for you?" Like, and I'm thinking, yeah, me, I'm the one at home who's going to, you know, and there are these sorts of subtleties that, you know, like you're a woman, you can't do that kind of thing, you know, and it's possible that it's true for a lot of women, but it's also possible it's true for a lot of men, you know, so it is a gendered thing there. So I get that kind of thing.
No, thank you for sharing that. And what do you think that trans and LGBTQ voices offer the world that dominant culture often fails to see?
Oh, what a beautiful question. That is such a profound question, you know, and that is something that I talk about because I feel that our voices, there is such a gift in them. I think the gift of perspective, the gift of seeing things, seeing life in ways that you can't because you're in it. You know, when you're a cisgendered woman or man living in a society of cisgendered people, you cannot see what you can't see. You can't see, and it's not just gender or trans stuff. You know, like disabled people. You know, they talk about this as well. You know, like seeing the world from a wheelchair or seeing the world from, you know, like mental health sorts of environments or whatnot. You know, and all of these minority groups have such a gift of perspective, of, you know, I've traveled a lot. I've traveled so much. I lived in the UK for 25 years. I've traveled, I've backpacked, I've hitchhiked, I've been around the world a few times and so forth. And there is nothing like traveling to open your mind to see different possibilities. And that's what I feel that these quote unquote minority voices offer all of us as the adventure that is being humanity would miss. You know, like I spoke about richness before, you know, like I value richness, I value complexity, I value how amazingly interesting our worlds are if we allow ourselves to be open-minded about everything and not limited to a narrow worldview that is the same yesterday, the same tomorrow, the same repeatable. I think that's so boring. But this is
no, I think so too. Yeah,
this is my perspective.
yeah.
I'll tell you a little story if you like.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
I was traveling in Malaysia years ago, and in a town called Malacca, which is just over the border before you get to Singapore. And I wanted a glass of milk. For some reason, I was in a cafe or something. I want a glass of milk. And so in our tradition here, I've got a fridge here, and it's got milk in it. And the milk's come from cows, and it's in a bottle, and it's been like pasteurized, homogenized, whatever they've done to it, and it's in a bottle. Want a glass of milk, pour it into a glass. Boom, job done. Yeah, so I go to Malacca, say I want a glass of milk. And I'm thinking, this is my model of the world. Glass of milk is this. And they bring me this glass of hot milk. And I think, why are you bringing me this hot milk? You know, I want just a glass of milk. Don't heat it up. You know, just have it, like straight out of the fridge. And like the language is a bit problematic, so we didn't communicate super well. But then they come back and they bring me more hot milk, and I said, no, like surely hot milk is cold milk heated up, like. But that was my worldview, and in their worldview, milk comes in a tin and it's powdered, and they have to use hot water to dissolve it and to make my glass of milk.
Okay.
So here we are with a perfectly straightforward glass of milk, and we have and how could you conceive that there was this different model? Right. How could your brain even go to? And maybe there are other models of what a glass of milk looks like, and that's what. That's
so interesting.
That's what being trans shines a light on. Yeah. And I give speeches on how to create a woman, how I created a woman. What are the things that I observe about womanhood that women can't see? Okay. And I talk about the hidden freedoms. Yeah. The hidden freedoms of womanhood that you might not see. Yeah. Would you like me to share some of those? It's such a joy. Like being a chick, I'm a chick on the beach, and I just love it. But I think the biggest freedom, well, it's emotional freedom. Okay. It's the ability to express emotions without shame or judgment or being told you're wrong or being humiliated or anything like that. For me, and this may not be true for all women by any means, but this is my experience. Okay. And this emotional freedom has been such a source of my power. I love my ability to regulate my space, my environment, my relationships with people, my boundaries, the emotional side of this. The ability to wear color. I noticed, Denise, you're wearing black today. But actually, I think you may have chosen that, and you could have chosen all kinds of other things, right, as well. And as a man, I felt like blue, brown, grey, beige sort of thing, like. Okay. So limiting in expression, freedom of expression. No, I love it. I love that I can touch someone on the shoulder and it doesn't mean anything. It's not a come on. Oh, okay. I love that I can walk down the street and people don't cross to the other side of the road because they see me as a risk, especially when it gets dark. Mm-hmm. And I love that I can dance now. Okay. And I never felt that. I always felt like judged and limited by my expression and stuff. And I know many men are like fabulous dancers, and I discovered I can wear hats. But I also love that I am seen as a safe person to be around. Okay. No, that's beautiful. I love that so much, thank you for your insights. That's really wonderful. Yeah, but had I not had this journey, I could not have seen those things. Right. And I, even now, I'm sort of like working towards speaking in organizations. And there are many women who just don't get men. They just don't get, as they work through the, corporate hierarchy and get to, the glass ceilings and whatnot, and how do men navigate that, and how do women, so people like me, we help build those bridges. Yeah. So I love that. So that's my answer to your question. What is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. And, I'd also love to hear your perspective on this, but I don't know how familiar you are with what's going on in the US right now, but there's just so much going on, like, a lot of anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ, legislation and rhetoric right now. But yeah, just in your view, what does the US look like right now from the outside? And do you notice that there's like differences or similarities in terms of like conversations around like LGBTQ and trans issues between that you've also seen in like the Australian UK? I'm just wondering like how the US is being looked at right now when it comes to this.
Thank you for asking. I do get asked this. I speak
Hmm.
on a lot of podcasts in America. I even
Hmm.
speak on radio in America. And,
Okay.
not because I'm an expert per se
Hmm.
on, what life looks like for anyone in America, but because there are perspectives again, and sitting
Hmm.
outside of America. It's like in coaching. I love
Okay.
coaching because it shines lights on things that you can't see for yourself, and
Uh-huh.
so there is value in, asking this kind of question.
Hmm.
And I think it's so sad. I think
Okay.
it's so sad, and I think it's so stupid and pointless and serves nobody,
Okay.
and in that it's political. How can deliberately hurting
Yeah.
a vulnerable minority of people for
Hmm.
no benefit. There
Yeah.
is no benefit to anybody to diminish a marginalized group
Right.
like that, who I didn't choose to be trans.
Hmm.
You didn't choose to have black hair.
Hmm.
Like it just is. I have no choice about this. My choice was to live because that was a pathway as well,
Uh-huh.
and to use my voice as best I can to elevate everybody and to shine lights on
Hmm.
our world, and the
Yeah.
things that are going on and what people believe. I can't see that there is a single benefit to anybody by marginalizing
Yeah.
a vulnerable group and genuinely harming people's lives.
Hmm.
It's genuine harm, and it
Yeah.
creates an environment where it makes it okay to be transphobic, to
Yeah.
to it weaponizes
Uh-huh.
the narrative around a group of people who do not deserve this, did not
Hmm.
do anything,
Hmm.
are no harm, are no threat,
Yeah.
and for what?
Yeah.
And for what?
Yeah.
And I see bits of this creeping into Australia in a certain side of politics,
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
feel that it is my job and job of people like me to keep calling this out, to
Hmm.
keep shining lights, to help people understand what is being said. Like there are these statements like,
Hmm.
of course, men should not go in women's bathrooms.
Hmm.
Of course,
Yeah.
men should not be playing in women's sports,
Hmm.
and competing, But we are not talking men. We
Hmm.
are not
Yeah.
talking men at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, if people have that in their head, then there is a job to help them understand that,
Yeah.
and like people are making the best judgments and calls they can with the information they have and their models of the world. And if that's what you're thinking, then it's my job to help with this misunderstanding
Yeah.
about I am not a man.
Hmm.
I am not a man physically, emotionally, mentally,
Hmm.
hormonally.
Okay.
There is like I go into women's circles. I go into women's temples,
Hmm.
whether I've got my clothes on or not my clothes on. And, I do that sort of thing too. It doesn't make any difference. I'm a woman. But I've got to say, like when I first transitioned and I switched bathrooms, and like there was one day I went to the men's and the next day I went to the women's, and it was like that. And in the earlier days, I didn't look like I look now. And yet women were so accepting, so accepting. I have been blown away by the support, acceptance, the encouragement, the affirmation, the belief that women have had for me.
Wow.
And I feel so lucky. I feel so lucky for the safe landing that I've had into my womanhood. And now it's so interesting, you know, like I'm just a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 6-year-old baby, you know?
Yeah, right. That's beautiful.
And I'm learning too. You know, I'm learning how to be a woman, how like not how to dress or put makeup or anything like that, but how to relate, how to have conversations, how to hold space, how to be curious, how to not project my energy into the space, you know, like. And these are things I never knew as a man.
Okay.
Like these soft things of what it is to be a woman amongst women.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
But it also means that sometimes I get it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I have to go back into, it's so hard, you know, and then I sort of, okay, I'll work through that and grow through that and everything.
That's cool.
And get better at it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, and your insights. It's just incredible. And I'd love to talk with you more about your Feel Alive Again guide. So what led you to create the Feel Alive Again guide, and who is this guide especially for?
Oh, that's a lovely question. How to feel alive again. Yeah. So like my journey of gender is not, it's just a story.
Yeah.
My biggest message is that it's possible to change your life in a moment with a decision, in a heartbeat. And so I am rebuilding my whole life. I am starting again. Like I'm standing on the shoulders of everything before, and I'm not starting from nothing, obviously, but I have changed gender. I've changed cities. Now live in a different side of the country. I've changed communities. I've changed mindset.
Yeah.
I've grown so much in mindset, and all of these things have happened really quickly. And my biggest message is of possibility, that it's possible to create a new life, a new destiny, a new reality with your thinking, with your actions at any point. And like I said, I'm not interested in hanging up my clogs. That's a kind of a British expression.
Okay.
Hang up your clogs, you know. Yeah, I'm not interested. I want to know. I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like there is so much for me, so much contribution. Like my ambition is like off the charts. And I want other people to feel that as well. I want people to tell, this is the back of my business card.
I love that. Tell a better story. That's so beautiful.
Tell a better story.
Yeah.
And what that means is the beliefs we hold that we think are truths.
Yeah.
Are they really? Is it your truth? Is it someone else's truth? Have you adopted it? Have you accepted it? Have you not even questioned it? And through questioning our beliefs and our actions and the decisions that we make, like, is that really serving the highest expression of who I want to be? I want people to dream. I want dream as big as you can. I want people to live as alive as we can.
Yeah.
And there is no limit to that except the discomfort of going to that edge and doing something you've never done before, which we've done our whole lives. So we all experienced at this, and the ones we've already done, we sort of diminish them a little, but the ones ahead, they're so big. And this is me. This is where I am right today. I'm pitching to organizations and I'm nervous about it. And I have to go there. And you have to go into the nervousness and do the thing and build the muscle of the thing that scares me. Yeah. So my guide is for those of us who might be starting to feel a little disillusioned about life. And is this all there is?
Yeah.
I used to have big dreams about the future. I was going to do X, Y, Z. I was going to write a book, start a business, travel the world, build a school in Kenya or something, like I was going to do all these things. And yet life got hard.
Right.
Family happened, children happened, debts happened, responsibilities happened.
Yeah.
Society happened and told me I couldn't.
Yeah.
Those people who want more and know that there is more for them, but they don't know how. They don't know the access point to start. They want to start to believe again.
Yeah.
And this is like a little PDF with some emails that I follow up with about asking some of those questions. Like what would your 20-year-old self say to you now?
Right.
What does your 20-year-old want for you? What does your 80-year-old want for you?
Yeah.
And it's just this self-reflection. And it's a start to unlocking that grip on the quote-unquote reality of what life is today. And maybe if we did something different, maybe if we did a little thing that scared us today, maybe we took a little action, then the world is different, and the world will just unfold in however it's going to unfold.
So. No, that's so beautiful. I had such a wonderful time talking with you today. Truly, truly thank you for like taking the time to talk with me and sharing your stories. But just lastly, before we wrap up, how can people find you if they would like to connect with you?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Bobbi, Bobbi. My website is bobbibarrington.com. And on my socials, most of my socials, it's Bobbi Barrington, like Instagram and LinkedIn. If people go there. I also have a Facebook personal page, which is I think you can find it under Bobbi. Like someone stole my name on Facebook, and I had to.
Oh no, that's awful.
No, they didn't. I'm being facetious,
Okay, no, because I've heard that happen to people before, though, especially people who like have more of a presence. Yeah, that actually happened to someone that I know. But
yeah, it's Bobbi Girl 1, figures 1, number 1. But I think you can search for me because I'm the purple haired.
And is this where people can find your Feel Alive Again guide as well?
Well, if yes, certainly on my website, but if you can pop it in the show notes as well, that would be
yes,
amazing.
Of course.
Yeah, so be on my website. Look, I am working this out. Like I am just working life out.
Yeah, I love it.
Like all of those systems and stuff. I'm a solopreneur. I sit here when we end this call, I'll be all on my own for the day. And trying to do it all. In all the bits of my business. So if some of this doesn't work that well or whatever, I think we have to forgive each other, for being imperfect. But who wants to be perfect?
Yeah, and I truly hope that this your story inspires people to like really live the life that you want, because I feel like even myself too, I get stuck because I get scared, like what if something doesn't work out, and just like get stuck in an unhappy place. But yeah, I love your story, just inspiring people to just be who you are and live life the way that you want to and just go with the flow.
Yeah, and let other people live their lives too.
Right. No, that's important too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise. This has been beautiful.
No, thank you. This was really beautiful. And hopefully we can stay in touch, but I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Absolutely, totally. I plan to.
Okay,
And you.
thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for being here and tuning in to Voices That Propel Us, stories of justice, action, and community. Your presence in this movement matters. If today's conversation moved you, share it, talk about it, and keep the work going. Together, we're not just imagining change, we're making it. Until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, and stay in the fight.
Every time I feel so mad and sad and bad, I say to myself, relax, lean back, it's a brand new day. And every time I feel so down that a friend